Monday, January 11, 2021. I am the coach, and this is the Early Edge powered by SportsLine. We are the only daily sports betting podcast that's in your feed every single day, 365 before 11 a.m., and we do it all in 10 minutes or less. Our leader, Darth Vader, says, start the clock, coach. And today, we are going to pay respect to the national championship by being the only game we pick and also the only props we pick. Now, real quickly, we're coming off a solid weekend, specifically on Sunday, 3-3 in football. Underdogs were 4-2 during the wild card weekend. We also launched golf for the first time here on the Early Edge, and for a $100 better, plus 320 on 4 different wages. So not bad start there as well. But it's always about what we do next. And as I said, today is about the national championship. Ohio State and Alabama. So I had to bring in 3 of my very best football cappers at SportsLine. Look right below me. He has the official mascot of the Early Edge Chief. He is our DFS wizard, Mr. Mike McClure, M Squared. Good morning.
Good morning, Coach. Ready for national title game? It feels good that we finally got to this point in the season after it looked like we had a rocky road this season. So very happy to get to the national title game here.
You're damn right about that. Right next to M Squared, look at him. He's got the big smile this morning. He's fired up. Barrett, Sallee. Barrett, good morning.
Good morning, Coach. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, pumped up. This is my favorite day, the lead up, even though it's a late kickoff, the lead up to the national championship, man. Good time to get your bets in. Good time to savor what was an interesting college football season.
Oh, I like the word interesting, and I love that word savor. And I love any words that our next capper says. Tom, take the bass out of your voice, Fornelli. Tom, are you ready today? I have a feeling that you have a unique bet coming for us.
Yeah. I'm ready today. As I said before we started the show, I woke up today. It's a national title game. I had a very serious last day of school vibe going. It's like it's excitement and kind of sadness at the same time.
It's remarkable that we've got here in the NFL and also in college football as well. So big props and a lot of respect to both of these teams, Ohio State and Alabama. Now, according to our good friends at William Hill, this line has moved to 9. The total is 75. This is the largest spread, guys. Get this. In the college football national championship game, since Florida State was favored by 9 against Auburn in the 2013 BCS championship game. So we're in kind of uncharted territory here. So I want to start with the pick of the game. Barrett, I'm going to let you go first. Give it to me.
Yeah, Coach, I'm taking Ohio State. I'll grab those 8.5 points. In fact, I think it'll go 9 before kickoff. But look, this Ohio State team, think about where they are, right? They've only played 7 games. How many times do we see a team get to that middle of the season and then sort of take off, right? They figure out their identity. Well, think about where Ohio State is. Not only are they really technically in the middle of a little after the middle of a normal season, but they've been dealing with COVID. They've been dealing with a bunch of guys out. I think that Ohio State team we saw against Clemson is the real Ohio State team. I think their defense has figured themselves out. And in fact, I think their offensive line, had they played 12 games, would actually have won the Joe Moore Award over Alabama. So I think they're going to keep this close. I think Trey Sermon's going to go off. He's going to have a great game. You're going to see maybe not Justin Fields from Clemson, but still a pretty close facsimile thereof of Justin Fields from Clemson. Take Ohio State, grab the points. You won't need them because the Bucs are winning outright.
I wonder how Dabo Swinney would feel if Ohio State played 12 games.
He'd be upset. He would be upset. There's no doubt.
M Squared, how do you feel about the pick that Mr. Barrett just gave us?
I love the pick. I'm also on Ohio State plus 9 in this spot. So this Ohio State team, I know we're going to get hit with the small sample size, only 7 games. They average 7.2 yards per play, which is very close to Alabama's 7.7 yards per play. And you look at what kind of games Alabama had any sort of competition in. It was mostly Florida, right? And that was because Florida had a really very good passing attack. I think this Ohio State passing attack is just as good, if not better. But the only difference between them and Florida is they have Trey Sermon in the backfield. This rushing attack from Ohio State is also elite. When I go to my simulations here, I only make Alabama minus 4.7. So if you're going to give me plus 9 here, I like it a lot. You get me through another key number here in the sport of football, especially college football. So give me Ohio State plus 9. Chief is on board with the play as well. I don't agree at all with the line being the biggest spread in college football playoff history.
It's crazy. And by the way, we're going to recap all these picks at the end of the show. But in addition to the side, and both Barrett and M Squared are on Ohio State, there are so many different ways to put bets in, so many different plays that you can look at. Tommy, let's bring you in now. What two different picks are you looking at in this game?
Well, as far as the full game spread is concerned, I'm with Mike and Barrett. I'm leaning towards the Ohio State side here. It's just I'd rather wait till closer to kickoff to see who's playing, knowing that first, because there might be some players we find out later not playing for the Buckeyes. They have been dealing with COVID. And plus, like Barrett mentioned earlier, I think if you're on Ohio State, you probably want to wait a little bit because I do think this spread will get bigger the closer we get to kickoff. But what I like the best of anything on the board for this game is Alabama minus a half point in the first quarter. If we look at Ohio State so far through their season, they have been a team that defensively, they've gotten off to slower starts. They've given up more points in the first quarter than they have in other quarters. They rank 40th nationally in points allowed per quarter in the first, whereas in the other three quarters, they're typically in the top 10, top 15. Offensively, they're about the same. And Alabama has been the second highest scoring team in the country in the first quarter. Only Kent State, of all teams, has scored more points than the Crimson Tide has in the first quarter. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Alabama has the lead after the first quarter. So I love that play as far as what we know now. And then I also like the under for the full game simply because I think this total is a little too high. As good as these offenses are, Alabama games are still averaging only about 67 points per game. Ohio State games are still averaging only about 65 points per game. And granted, they haven't been playing each other or teams of the same caliber, but you consider the results and then the fact that this is a national title game and teams tend to get more conservative when there's a lot more on the line. I know that the over has been the trend in college football playoff national championship games in the first 6 years of the event, but the total's never been this high. The highest total we've ever seen in any of these games was 72.5 in the very first college football playoff championship game. That one finished under. This one will too.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the fact, I think a lot of it, Alabama averaged 50 points a game this year, and I think they look at that and say they're going to do that here. They did not do that in the semifinals, and I think to your point, they're going to be held under a little bit here as well. By the way, that first quarter bet is minus 135, and the under is at 110. Real quick, if you're not a SportsLine member yet, what in the world are you waiting for? We've got a deal of a lifetime. If you open an account today, use a promo code EDGE. We're going to give you 30 days for free. All of these great cappers, all of our other great cappers, but also the sports simulations that at CBS SportsLine are absolutely killing it. It's all for free. Sign up today. Okay, we've got to go to our favorite props of this particular game. Barrett, I know you're chomping at the bit. What do you like?
Man, when I saw this prop come out, I was like, I think that's a little bit of sizzle and not a lot of steak. 67.5 for the longest touchdown play of the game. I'm going to go under. Look, 67.5 is a long, long way. Now, look, I think, again, both of these defenses, especially up front, better than people give them credit for. And I know Shaun Wade has been picked on outside. I think he's going to shine going up against Devontae Smith. I think he welcomes that challenge. I think he knows that's big for him in terms of his future as well at the NFL level. Look, there might be a play of 65, 70, 75 yards. It won't be a touchdown. I think 67.5 yards for the longest touchdown of the game. Little too aggressive, so I'm going to go under.
All right, that is. Think about it. They have to score from behind the 33 in order for that to come in. That is a long touchdown. All right, M Squared, let's bring you in now. Mac Jones has been terrific this year as the quarterback for the Crimson Tide, putting up big numbers. What do you like in a prop with him?
So I'm going to actually be looking at the under here. 375.5 passing yards is just a little too high. My simulations had this number around 339 passing yards, which is still a very healthy number for really anyone in this spot, right? But like Tom said, I think that this game kind of leans under, and I think there's two reasons for it, and it has to do with Najee Harris and Trey Sermon. I think both running backs are going to find success on the ground, and while these teams want to play with tempo, they're still going to eat up some clock, and like I said, they're going to find success on the ground. I think we see a special teams play or two in this game, so I'm going to be looking at the under. Again, 339 is where I have it. I think it's just simply a little too high in this spot.
All right, well, let's stay with Mac Jones there, and let's bring in Tommy now. Devontae Smith just won the Heisman. He's been terrific. He has a nose for the end zone, and the number in this prop bet I thought was really high. Give it to me.
Yeah, I guess Mike and I are fading Mac Jones here because I'm looking at the under 3.5 touchdown passes for Mac, and it's at plus 130. And I just love the value on that because there's a very real chance Mac Jones is going to throw 4 touchdowns or more in this game. He's done it during plenty of games already this season. There's a reason he was a Heisman finalist. It's just going up against this defense, which I know it's been maligned in the secondary, but people talk about this Ohio State defense as if it's awful. It's still one of the better defenses in the country. And I think that, as we've talked about with the game script and how I think it's going to be lower scoring than the total in this one suggests, and I think we're going to see teams be a bit more conservative. And like Mike, I think Najee Harris is going to have a larger role in this game than Mac Jones will. So I see value on that under 3.5. And like Mike said, this is a game where Mac Jones might have a terrific night. He might throw for 340 yards and 3 touchdowns. And if he does, we both win our unders.
All right. Well, I like that one too. And look what they did against Trevor Lawrence, against Clemson. Ohio State's defense is much better than people are giving them credit for. Okay, it's that time of the show because we're up against the clock. Let's grab our paper, grab our pencil. It's time for the recap here. Let's start with Barrett and M Squared. They both like Ohio State plus the 9. They think you may want to wait till closer to game time if you're on the Buckeyes, as the line might go up. Tommy, on the Alabama first quarter, minus a half point. That comes back at 130, minus 135. And then the under, the total is at 75. That's just at minus 110. And then in their favorite props of the day, Barrett is under the longest touchdown of the game of 67.5 yards. M Squared is on Mac Jones under 375.5 passing yards. And Tommy is on Mac Jones under 3.5 touchdown passes. That's coming in at plus 130. Real quick, I want to give props to a bettor out there who bet, I saw this, guys, $5,000 on Cleveland money line, on Cleveland defensive touchdown, and on Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown for $220,000 last night. You got to give props to that. All right? That's going to do it. You have your marching orders. Let's take it straight to the pay window. For Barrett, Sallee, for Tom, take the bass out of your voice, Fornelli, and our man M Squared in chief, and Jacob the jeweler, our producer, who puts this diamond together. I am the coach. Let's have a national championship game to remember. And also remember, this is the only place for your daily early edge.